Join me and learn how to crochet this gigantic strawberry plush cushion. I can promise you won't want to stop cuddling it once you're done. Let's get started. The giant strawberry is a free pattern by the mega talented Kate Eastwood, which we've linked in our description below. It's written in UK terminology and I'll be going through it in this video with US terminology. I'm actually using a different yarn to the one in the pattern, which has created a much bigger strawberry. So if you want to be just as adventurous, these are the materials you'll need. If not, do go ahead and use the ones and amount stated in the pattern, and you can still follow along with me. I'm using 2 ends of Paintbox Yarns Chenille, a super cozy squishy yarn with a 10mm hook. I'll need 8 balls in shade Rose. I'd get 2 balls of shade Leaf just to be safe, and you'll only need 1 ball in shade Lemon. I've used around 1.5 kilograms of stuffing, or you can reuse any from any old pillows. You'll need some scissors, a stitch marker, and a large yarn sewing needle. You're also going to need some pipe cleaners for the stalk of your strawberry. Remember to check the description below for links to materials. Before we get started, keep in mind that if you are working with 2 strands like me, that means you'll see double the amount of loops and ends when working up your stitches. Just treat your 2 strands throughout as if they were just the one to avoid confusion. The pattern says to start with a magic ring, but I actually prefer to start with some chains that I can then turn into a ring. If you'd like to give the magic ring a go, we have a link on the pattern for a video tutorial on this. So let's start with a slip knot. So hold your ends on your left hand and you're going to make a loop by bringing the working side of the yarn over that end to the left. Just a little loop with your 2 strands, and to complete your slip knot you're just going to bring your working side of the yarn again under and up through the little loop, and you can pull that right up by holding your ends on your left hand and pulling up to complete your slip knot. And now we can just attach our little loop onto our hook and pull the working side gently to adjust the loop to our hook. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to chain 4. So to do a chain, you're going to yarn over your hook and you're going to pull that through the loop that's on your hook. That's 1 chain. And again, I'm going to yarn over and pull through the loop on my hook. 2 chains. Yarn over, pull through the loop on my hook. 3 chains. And for my 4th chain, yarn over, pull through the loop. And there's my 4 chains, 4 chunky chains, if I do say so myself. And now to create the ring, we need to make a slip stitch into the very first chain that we made. So to make a slip stitch, we're going to insert our hook into that first chain that we made. And then we're going to yarn over with the working yarn, and we're going to pull through the chain and the loop that's on our hook all at once. And there's your little ring complete. So now for round 1, I'm going to make 8 US single crochets, that's 8 UK double crochets into the middle of the ring. So you should have a little hole at the middle of your ring. So you're going to make your 8 single crochets into the middle of this ring. So to do this, you're going to insert your hook into the middle, and you want to make sure that you crochet over your ends from the slip knot that you made at the beginning, just so that you can pull it tight to adjust the hole in the middle of your ring. So keep that over the hook for those 8 single crochets, and you're going to yarn over and you're going to bring up a loop from the middle of your ring. So now you should have 2 loops on your hook. Remember, we're treating our 2 strands as if they're one. So we have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and we're going to pull through those 2 loops to complete our first single crochet. So I'm going to show you that again. So we're going to insert our hook into the middle of our ring, yarn over with our working yarn, pull up a loop, 2 loops on our hook. And to complete our second single crochet, we're going to yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. So I'm going to continue to do this until I have 8 single crochets in total. 3, 4, 5. So there's my 8 single crochets done, and you can double check if you have 8 single crochets by counting the little chains on the edge of your work. So let's count these together. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, 8 single crochets. And let's add a stitch marker here on my very last single crochet of round 1. So just attach your stitch marker at the top where your little chain is of your very last single crochet. And you can do this at the end of every round with the same marker. Because we're working in a sort of spiral, this just makes it easier to track your rounds. So for the next few rounds, I will demonstrate how to increase your stitches so that we begin to shape the bottom of our strawberry. So for round 2, we're going to do 1 single crochet into the first stitch. So into the very first little chain at the top of your first single crochet of round 1, we're going to insert our hook into that stitch, and we're going to yarn over. We're going to pull up a loop from that stitch and should have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through the 2 loops to complete your first single crochet of round 2. So now we're going to do our first increase. So to do an increase, you're going to do 2 single crochets into the next stitch. So just insert your hook as you would into that next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And we're going to do this again into the same stitch. So put your hook into that same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. So there's my first stitch increase. So we're going to repeat this. So we're going to do 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 2 single crochets into the next stitch until we have 12 stitches in total. So your last 2 single crochets will go into this stitch here where we marked the end of round 1. So I'm going to go ahead and do this now. So 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 2 single crochets into the next stitch, 1, 2, and so on until you have 12 stitches in total. So there's my round 2 complete, and I should have 12 stitches So let's count. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Perfect. So now we can move our little stitch marker to the very last single crochet of round 2. And then we're ready to start round 3. And for round 3, what we're going to do here is we're going to do 1 single crochet into each of the next 2 stitches, and then we're going to do 2 single crochets into the next stitch. So let's go through that together now. So 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and now a stitch increase into the next stitch. So 2 single crochet into the next stitch. 1, 2. So we're going to repeat this until we have 16 stitches at the end of round 3. So I'm going to go ahead and do this now. 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 2 single crochets into the next stitch, 1, 2, and so on. We're going to repeat this until we have 16 stitches in total. And remember to finish into the stitch where we have that stitch marker. So there's round 3 complete. And again, I can move up my stitch marker. And I'm ready for round 4. So here we're going to do 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches, 2 single crochets into the next stitch, until we have 20 stitches at the end of round 4. So I'm going to go ahead and do this now. So 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and now a stitch increase into the next stitch. So 2 single crochets into the next stitch. 1, 2. And I'm going to repeat this all the way around until I have 20 stitches in total. Round 4 done, and we should have 20 stitches at the end of this round. And for round 5 and 6, we're not going to do any increases. This means that we're going to single crochet into every stitch of those 2 rounds. So we should end up with 20 stitches at the end of those 2 rounds. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this now. Remember to move your stitch marker at the end of each round to track where you're at. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish rounds 5 and 6, single crochet into every stitch of those 2 rounds. You can see the bottom of my strawberry start to take shape there. Now that you've learned how to do your lovely increases, keep following the pattern and increasing as instructed, and meet me back here at the end of round 47. See you in a bit. So you can see here that on my way to round 47, I've actually run out of yarn. And to attach your new strands, all you have to do is put your old strands to the side, and you're going to insert your hook into the next stitch as if you were about to do your next single crochet. So just put your hook through that next stitch, and what you're going to do is with your new strands, you're going to attach that to your hook. So just attach a little loop, and then you can just simply finish doing your single crochet as you would. So pull through your new loop or your new strands through that stitch and bring up a loop, and then you can finish your single crochet as you would with your new strand. So yarn over with the working strands, and you're gonna pull through the 2 loops on your hook to complete that single crochet. And then you can just continue on with your pattern as you would, and I'm gonna continue with my pattern until the end of round 47. I finished my last round of increases, and look how big that is starting to look. So at the end of this round 47, I should have 104 stitches all the way around. And you can see that those increases has sort of created a triangular shape from the bottom of my strawberry. Round 48 is where I'll be demonstrating how to start decreasing your stitches to shape the top of your strawberry. So to start round 48, I'm going to do 1 single crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now for our first decrease of this round, we're going to work a single crochet 2 together through the next 2 stitches. So I'll show you how to do this now. So you're going to make 1/2 single crochet into the next stitch. So you're going to insert your hook, you're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, and you're not going to finish that single crochet. And you're going to do the same through the next stitch. So you're going to put your hook through the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. And now you should have 3 loops on your hook. And to finish your single crochet 2 together, you're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through all 3 loops on your hook. So you can see there, we've done a single crochet through 2 stitches, but they share 1 loop at the top, which means 2 stitches have become 1 in this round. And now we can continue. 6 single crochets next. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, we're going to do a single crochet 2 together within the next 2 stitches. So hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. Hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. And we should have 3 loops on our hook. So I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops to finish my single crochet 2 together stitch. So we're going to continue this all the way around, and we should have 91 stitches at the end of this round. There's my 91 stitches of round 48. And now keep following the pattern and decreasing as instructed until the end of round 53, where we'll start stuffing our strawberry. You'll notice your decreased stitches will get closer and closer together after each round. It's stuffing time. Make sure to start right at the bottom of your strawberry and fill that pointy end super well to begin with. And then just work your way up, making sure you have a nice and even stuffing throughout. You'll know you did a great job when you have a gigantic strawberry with no bumpy surfaces. I'm gonna finish stuffing to the top, but not fully, so I have space to crochet my last 2 rounds. You can see just how big the strawberry is here. I've had to lay it on its side to show you the next step. So now we're going to continue to follow the pattern for the last 2 rounds. So for round 54 and 55. And we're going to finish stuffing the strawberry at the end of round 54. So at the end of the second last round. For these 2 rounds, you're just going to be doing your decreases in every stitch. So your single crochet 2 together all the way around for each of those 2 last rounds. Once you've finished those 2 rounds and the stuffing of your strawberry, you're going to finish off by cutting off a long tail of your yarn, and you're going to finish off by yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook, and you can pull that right through until your long tail goes straight through that, and you can tighten that. And you've finished off. And what we're going to do now is we're going to close this little hole here in the center by threading your tapestry needle with your remaining tail. And you're just going to weave your yarn up and down these stitches. So go in, up, in, up, in, up, in, up, and I've reached where I've finished off. And then once you do that, you can pull to tighten the hole in the middle. Now you're always going to have some holes at the top of your strawberry, and not to worry, your leaf will hide this at the top. So then once you're happy with that, you don't want to pull it too much because this yarn can be quite fragile. You can finish with a knot. I'm gonna pop my yarn back on my needle as it fell off. And you can just finish with your knot by going under the little hole in the center a couple of times. And then you can go under those that you just made and then create a loop and finish with a knot. So go through your loop and pull that to finish. And that should be nice and secure. And then you can just thread your needle back through with your remaining thread just to hide that yarn. You can just stuff it into the strawberry to hide it. So that's how you crochet the body of your giant strawberry. Let's move on to the leaf. For the leaf, we're going to start the exact same way we did for the body, with a slip knot. And we're going to chain 4 to begin with. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to form that ring by making a slip stitch into the very first chain that we made. Now, instead of doing 8 single crochets into this ring for round 1, like we did before, we're going to do 9 single crochets instead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we can pop our stitch marker to the top of that very last single crochet. And now follow the pattern for rounds 2 to 4 and increase as instructed. You should end with a flat circle and 36 stitches at the end of round 4. I'll go do this now and come back to show you. I've done my round 4 and now we're ready to do our little pointy leaves around the edge of our circle. So to do this, we're going to slip stitch into the very beginning of this last round that we did. So just slip stitch into the first stitch of that last round. And what we're going to do here is we're going to chain 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And now what we're going to do is we're going to work into and down these chains to create our little pointy leaf. So you want to make sure that your chains are not twisted, first of all. And you'll notice that your crochet stitches will get wider and wider, or taller and taller in this case, to create the shape of your first leaf. So I'll show you how to do that now. So to finish our leaf, the pattern asks us to do 1 US single crochet into the second chain from our hook. So just insert your hook into the second chain from your hook, and you're going to do a single crochet as you've normally been doing. And now we need to do 2 US half double crochets. So to do this, we're going to yarn over. We're going to insert our hook into the next chain. We're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, and you should have 3 loops on your hook. And to finish your half double crochet, you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. There's your first half double crochet. We need to do another one. So into the next chain, yarn over, put your hook into that next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, and you're going to pull through all 3 loops all at once. Now we need to do 3 US double crochets. So yarn over, you're going to put your hook into the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. And there's your first double crochet. We need to do 2 more. So into the next chain again, yarn over, put your hook through that next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And again, yarn over, hook through the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the last 2 loops. Next, we need to do 3 US treble crochets. So yarn over twice to begin with, put your hook through the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over, pull through last 2 loops. So there's your first US treble crochet. We need to do 2 more. Yarn over twice, hook through the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And again, yarn over twice, hook through the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through last 2 loops. And we should have 2 little chains left to work into, and into these 2 last chains we're going to do 2 US double trebles. So to do this, we're going to wrap our yarn 3 times on our hook. 1, 2, 3. We're going to put our hook through the next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over, pull through your last 2 loops. And we're going to do this one more time for our very last chain. So your last US double treble crochet. Wrap your yarn 3 times around your hook. Insert your hook into that last chain. Apologies for the motorbike there. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over, pull through your last 2 loops. So you've worked into all 12 chains, and you can see, like I mentioned, your crochet stitches get taller and taller to create this pointy little leaf. And what we're going to do now is we're going to skip 3 stitches of our round piece. So we're going to skip 1, 2, 3, and we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch. So insert your hook into that next stitch, yarn over, pull through the stitch and the loop on your hook all at once. And there you can see your first little pointy leaf complete. And you're going to repeat this pattern that you did 7 more times to create 8 leaves all around. So I'm going to go ahead and do this now, and I'll meet you back here once I've completed my last little leaf, or big leaf even. 1, 2, 3. And at the end of your 8th leaf, you can slip stitch to the beginning of the round of your center circle. And you can go ahead and finish off. And you've completed your giant strawberry leaf. Let's sew in all these little ends. So what you can do is you're gonna thread your tapestry needle, and I'm gonna start with the end from the slip knot at the beginning of the pattern. And I've actually crocheted over my ends, so I just need to go back under the loops one more time just to secure it. So miss the last loops it went under and go under through the next few loops all the way around. There you are, and then you can just trim that off. And you can do the same with the 2 last little ends. And you can just go under a few stitches in the back of your leaf. And you want to come back, miss a loop and come back a few times to secure those ends. And you can also go ahead and trim that off when you're done. I'm going to crochet the stalk of my leaf next. For the stalk, I'm going to start with a slip knot, as I've been doing. I'm going to attach that to my hook. And the pattern asks us to make 13 chains. So I'm going to go ahead and make 13 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And now for row 1, we're going to, starting from the second chain from our hook, we're going to work 1 single crochet in each chain until the end. So you should have 12 single crochets at the end of this row. So starting from the second chain from your hook, insert your hook, and you're going to do a single crochet as you normally would. And you're going to continue to single crochet in every chain until the end, until you've done 12 single crochets in total. At the end of row 1, we're just going to chain 1 and turn. So this little chain one does not count as a single crochet. So for rows 2 to 5, we're going to continue to single crochet in every stitch, chain 1 and turn at the end of each row. Remember that. So we're going to single crochet into the first stitch and every stitch until the end of the row. So that should be 12 single crochets each row. And we're gonna remember to chain 1 and turn at the end of each row. So meet me back here when you've done rows 2 to 5 that way. At the end of row 5, there's no need to do your chain 1. What we're going to do here is we're going to fold our stalk in half. So fold the long sides together. And now what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch these edges together all the way along this long edge and the little edge at the top. So you're going to pick up your work and you're going to turn. And what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch the stitches along your last row, row 5, with each of the foundation chains of the stalk. So you're going to insert your hook into the first stitch of row 5 and the first chain in your foundation. You're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through the foundation chain, the stitch and the loop on your hook all at once. And you're going to continue this along the long edge, and I'm going to do this and I'll show you how to stitch or slip stitch this little piece at the top of your stalk when I come to it. Once you reach the top of your stalk, you're going to turn again and you're going to make a few slip stitches along these edges to join the top of your stalk together. So you don't have to be very precise of where to do them. This yarn is quite fuzzy, so you can't really see much when it's done. So I'm just going to go ahead and have a feel, and I have around 3 little holes. So I'm just going to go ahead and make 3 slip stitches along this edge, and I'm not going to be too precise about it. I'm just going to insert my hook into one of the edges and into the other. I'm going to make a slip stitch and I'm going to make 2 more. So into this next little hole, I'm going to insert my hook through the 2 edges, make a slip stitch, and I'm going to make 1 more to make sure I have a nice join at the top. And perfect, and I can go ahead and finish off. And what I can do with this little end is I can thread my tapestry needle again and just thread it to the inside of my stalk to hide it. So finish off, thread those ends. And you can simply just stitch it through into the stalk. You can go under some stitches first and then just come out along the stalk, pull it through and just trim that to finish. Next, I'm going to take some pipe cleaners. I've actually got 6 here because I want a nice rigid stalk, and I'm going to twist them together, and I'm going to put that through the stalk in the opening at the bottom of it. Gonna put it through until it reaches the top, and this will allow your stalk to stand upright on the top of your strawberry. And once you've reached the top, you can just cut off the excess. To attach your stalk to your leaf, you're going to thread your needle with some yarn, and you only need 1 strand for this, and you're going to make a knot at the end of that. I made a triple knot just to make sure it's big enough not to go through my stitches, and you're going to go up through the first round of your leaf, so just through one of these stitches here. Make sure you don't come up in between the rounds because they're a bit more spacious. So just come up through the stitches until that knot stops it from going through completely. And what you're going to do now is you're going to position your stalk with, on the side that it has the little opening, you're going to place it in the middle where your little hole is on your leaf. And you're going to whip stitch the stalk to the leaf all the way around. So you're going to go under a stitch of the leaf and up through one of the stitches of the stalk at the bottom. And you're going to pull your yarn right through, and you're going to continue that all the way around to create your whip stitches and to stitch the stalk securely onto your leaf. So you can turn and continue to make those whip stitches all the way around. And once you've gone all the way around at the bottom of that, I'm going to make my last stitch. You're going to thread your yarn back to the back of your leaf. So just thread it to the back. And you can finish with a knot. So just go under one of the stitches on the surface at the back of your work. And again, and you're going to finish with a knot. You can even go under a few stitches just to make sure it's nice and secure. And you can trim that off to finish. For the seeds of the strawberry, you're just gonna cut long lengths of your yellow yarn, and with your large yarn needle, you're gonna thread the yarn in and out from the top of your strawberry. You can see I've already started that there, to the bottom where the pointy end is of your strawberry, and then back up again. And you're gonna tie all the yarn ends together at the top. And this will be hidden under your leaf when we attach the leaf on to the top. So I'm gonna show you a few stitches to help you. So you can just go under through the top of your strawberry and then come up somewhere and then you're just gonna go into the strawberry and up. I'm just going to use the ones I've already done, and I'm just going to mix stitches along those. And I'm actually making the stitches so that they are 3 rows or rounds long. So you can see that there's 1, 2, 3, and I'll go back down and then up again where there's another 3 rows, 1, 2, 3. So I'll come up somewhere here, and you don't need to stitch in a straight line. You can stagger your stitches so the seeds look more natural. So I'm just going to come up back here and make sure your yarn ends are not twisted, so your seeds look nice and neat. And I'm going to make my next stitch, 1, 2, 3 rows, and I'm going to come up on the left side now, 1, 2, 3. I'll come up somewhere here, and so on. I'm gonna do this until I reach the pointy end at the bottom, and I'll come up back up to the top of my strawberry again. You can see I've reached the bottom pointy end of my strawberry, and I'm going to continue to do my stitches to the top now. So you can turn your strawberry a little bit and continue to fill the strawberry to the top. I've reached back to the top of my strawberry, and I'm going to repeat this exact same process to fill the whole of my gigantic strawberry until I'm happy with it. When you've finished stitching your seeds, you're going to have all these little ends at the top of your strawberry, and I've already knotted some together. So you're just going to literally tie your ends together just to secure it at the top. And you can go ahead and trim them once you've tied them and are happy with how secure it is. And those ends will be hidden under your leaf. And for your leaf, you can position it on top of this circle here where your stitches are more loose and there are some holes. So you can just place your leaf on top of that, and what you're going to do here is you're going to thread your large needle with only 1 strand of the green, and you're going to knot that at the end, and you're literally just going to create a whip stitch and stitch the leaf, so this outer circle of your leaf to the strawberry. So I can show you a few stitches. So you're going to come up under the outer stitches of your leaf. And you've got those lovely spaces on each of the spiky leaves that you can just stitch under. And you can go ahead and create your whip stitch. So go under the stitches of the strawberry and the leaf and create your whip stitch. And you're going to continue that all the way around until your leaf has been stitched completely onto your strawberry. I'm gonna go ahead and continue with this whip stitch along the edge of that, and I'll meet you back here when I'm done. And once you've stitched all the way around, you can make a knot to finish. And then you can just put your thread, needle and thread, back into the middle of your leaf underneath it, just to hide it. And you can come up further down and you can trim that to finish. Time for some strawberry cuddles. Now I want to make one in pink. Will you be giving this humongous fun project a go? Drop us a comment below and subscribe to the Love Crafts channel for more. Happy crocheting!